everybody. Welcome to a new episode of the Low Code Approach. I'm Sean Fiene, a Senior Product Marketing Manager on the Power Platform and Microsoft Copilot Studio team, and I'm joined by...
It is I, General Jocelyn Pinchow, Senior Child and Product Manager of all types of agentic security nowadays. And I also have with me...
Mr. Ken Auguillard, who will now promote Jocelyn to Senior Young Adult instead of Senior Child.
Wait, look.
A genre of fiction. That's huge.
Right. Brand new title for Jocelyn. So there, you are no longer Senior Child. Anyway, yes, I'm Ken Auguillard, Principal Program Manager here. And Jocelyn, who do we have with us today?
We have a guest I am so excited to have with us. This is our third attempt at having Distinguished Engineer and Deputy CISO of Business Applications, Ilya Grebnov, with us. Ilya, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you for inviting me. I'm sorry for all the previous unsuccessful attempts of me joining.
Honestly, I just think it shows how security first we were. Our software for recording was not safe enough for this man's laptop. He knows too much.
Security comes first, yes.
Always. And that is the topic for today's podcast. So we want to educate you all on what we have here with SFI. So no acronyms allowed. Ilya, talk to me. What is SFI?
SFI stands for Secure Future Initiative. Sometimes I explain it as Security First Initiative. So what does it mean is we as a company a couple of years ago realized that we want to invest even more in security. And what we're doing right now, we're building a very structured approach when we identify certain risk as a gap, and then we're building an engineering and process-based solution in order to close these risks from security. And that's what Security Future Initiative is, that we want to make sure that we are risk-free when it's come to the malicious activities, threat actors, and make sure our products are built with trust and foundation in mind. So all our customers can benefit from the solutions we build.
So like many things that we have here within Microsoft, we have core principles of things: secure by design, secure by default, and secure operations for SFI.
Pillars.
Can you tell us, how do we put these principles into practice? How do they show up?
So I think this is, I'll answer it slightly differently. Like if you go to the engineering team and they trying to optimize for success. So in most cases, they build in new capabilities, new features, and this is additive stuff. When it's come to like principles, when it's come to security, we trying to minimize the risk. So what we do, we remove stuff, we basically add in additional restrictions and being the kind of skeptic in the room and arguing, say like, why we need this capability. And I think that's kind of the intent here for all this, like secure by design and secure operations. We want to make sure whatever we are doing is built in this kind of risk minimizations in mind, where we want to do as best as possible to minimize the risks. And then if customers want some additional capabilities, you can enable it. And that's what kind of the position we are taking today.
Ilya, how has this initiative changed the culture at Microsoft? And can you give us any idea about the rollout of this initiative and how was it accepted amongst, Microsoft's huge, right? And
Yep.
so rolling out anything is like moving mountains. Can you tell us how this was as an experience across Microsoft?
I think it's all started with an unfortunate event when we identified certain threat actor activities within the Microsoft. And that's what kicked off initiative, and it was kicked off directly by the Satya announcing the initiative to all of the company. And why this is important, it actually helps a lot in terms of a kind of forward-looking progress when people understand that security comes first. In many places, when I go to engineering teams and try to talk about certain solutions or implementations, it makes these conversations much more easier because I no longer need to compete with other product initiatives, right? Like the capabilities or something. And this is very important in the culture right now. Like we don't need to do kind of this like top to bottom approach. Everyone now understood that security comes first. So even years now later, it's still easy for me to have the conversation with the engineering team, and they're always willing to prioritize security above product capabilities.
Can I rephrase that question? And I don't know if you get and I will air quote it, if you're watching the video, you'll see it, the pleasure of working with marketing. How do you make sure that others that are not in the engineering space understand the importance of security? Because sometimes it's hard to convey the importance in messaging.
Says the marketing guy.
Yeah, no, I'm asking for Ilya to do my job for me.
I would say if you go to like a customer, sometimes I don't need to like explain all the engineering details, how we building capabilities, but it always resonates well with the customer when it's come to like we build in a secure trust foundation, we build the secure by default features, like we also unlocking some additional capabilities for you as a customers to secure your for deployment, like your infrastructure. So that's actually helps as well. Security become one of these things which is kind of a trust based. You go to conversations, some people can tolerate like if you're missing capabilities and then maybe like a workaround. But if you go to discussions and there is no kind of assurance about that the entire product is secure, it's really hard to convince customer, right? So that's what I think important thing. Security is similar to other like reliability initiative. They are trust based. Like you have to earn the trust from the customers, and this is very, very kind of helpful long term, because now that the customer trust Microsoft, and Microsoft one of these trusted companies in the world, like at least there is one thing customers don't need to worry about, it's security of our product.
So I can tell you, as an employee, I feel a difference. Even as somebody who was working on security as a job before a lot of this started, we even have now in our connects, our employee report cards, the security core priority that every Microsoft employee has to dedicate time towards to ensure that they are putting security first. But now, let me take a step back. Say I am Ken, a gazillion decades ago, a customer, right? Say I am a very skeptical customer, Ilya, and you're telling me, okay, we're security first, we have SFI. I'm going to look at you and say, but what changed? Why is Microsoft more trustworthy now? Were you not trustworthy to begin with? What has changed? Why should I believe that these initiatives are making a difference?
This is a very good question, because I don't think it's not that we did not kind of invest in security in the past. It's, I think the interesting things happens over the last decade, because what we need to realize that what's the threat actor looks like right now in the market, right? So in the past, like if you think about like movies, you think about like hack TV's group, people like hacking various system or trying to make some publicity stunt. Right now, the threat actors actually majority are state sponsored. So we essentially dealing with a large organizations, potentially a size of my group, and we actually defending against them. So what's important to realize is that the kind of landscape changed, and we're dealing with like state-sponsored threat actor, which is very persistent, very methodical. They have chain of command, they have a people, and they're investing into this. So what this means for us, we want to make sure that we build in adequate protection, and we build in adequate responses, we build in trenches, we build in detections, we build in all this stuff to defend it. This is where no individual customer can probably afford it. So what I'm saying is like customers adopting Microsoft will get the benefit of Microsoft being one of these like leaders in cybersecurity space, where I don't think individual customers can afford same level of the security investment as we do today.
So let's talk about the security investments, Ilya. So today, the landscape is changing. We are not just Power Platform or Office or SharePoint or Teams. Today, now we are a world of agents. And there is a lot of fear and uncertainty that is being proliferated by sometimes the community, sometimes by other organizations, and so on. Now, personally, I haven't heard of an agent going completely rogue or anything like that yet, but customers seem very concerned about this. How do you think that this affects the development process of our agents, and how we, as a customer, they come in, and how would you, I guess, convince them that these agents are now safe, that they are built on reliant technology, and they are, secure by default?
Yeah, I think, first of all, I think the best convincing argument I found in the past, I just tell people that Microsoft as the company is the customer of agents, and we're using agents extensively internally within Microsoft. So what does it mean? If we believe this is safe to use and we have a lot of confidential information, that's kind of one thing clearly resonate well. Plus, we also building our agents on top of existing investments, right? So we're not starting from scratch. We're using some of the things we built in the past, like a lot of agents are built on top of Power Platform, and Power Platform also have certain controls available for tenant admins, like DLP policies and other things. So if the organization wants to adopt agents in like safe way, when they want to do like gradual rollout within the organization, we offer these capabilities as well. So what I think important for customers is realize is that we as a Microsoft is using them at scale, as well as we offer customers to start gradually roll out and also build kind of trust with an agent, right? There is a lot of concerns in the market about agents. I completely agree. And there are some examples where agents got rogue. So there are a few precedents in the past, but building a trust with a platform, building a trust with implementation, that's important. I think over time, we will build this trust and people will be adopting agents in much more ease because they know these things is already working for them.
Let me key in on a question on something that you said, Ilya. You talked about previous investments that we have. Do you think, and maybe I'm asking you to think a little bit, not like a Microsoft employee and give the Microsoft answer here, but do you think that we have a strategic advantage because of everything that we have done? So we have Intra, we have Azure, we have all of these things that now our agent infrastructure is built on top of, and we have years of experience.
Yeah,
so compare that to our competitors, and so on.
Well, I think here's the thing. I want to be fair in the answer. There are competitors right now in the market, and then because the AI is changes rapidly, there are companies who can actually build a competitive product in a matter of years, not decades. What we as a Microsoft starting is that we do have investments, we do have an expertise like in security, we do have data like the M365 product used by many millions of customers and trusted. So we're trying to build on existing foundation where you as an organization already using Microsoft and trust us with your corporate data. We offering you a choice to use the data in safe way using the same security principle by adding additional agentic capabilities. So you don't need to choose another vendor for this. You just continue trusting Microsoft.
Ilya, how do you measure the success of SFI as it's been going on for quite some time? And I think this is in two stage. One, with across Microsoft internally, and then two, you mentioned like, hey, we need to ensure that customers trust us, right? Is there a way that you are gauging a customer trust in Microsoft?
Yeah, we actually have a formal way to measure it because initially we started at like work items. We just throw work items in the team and they need to shovel it. But right now we rethink the process, right? So what we essentially do, and we, again, like as I mentioned, it's all about risks, right? So what we did, we step back and we say like, all the work we are doing, we essentially trying to mitigate certain risks, like credential compromise, like the cross-tenant vulnerability, something. So we started with a risk, and then we map the individual kind of work items and themes towards this risk. And we basically measure the progress. So, and we share it transparently with the customer. So every quarter, we publish the SFI report where we actually show in the data what was changed in the last 3 months as organization, and you can actually see the number is growing, and we wanted to hit 100%. That's what we believe that we hit the enough work in order to mitigate certain risks.
So Microsoft is leading with SFI internally, right? How do we make customers use the same policies for security first in what they are doing with our products? So like, I know that we try to shift left with makers, but we still have the admin role for security. How do we make sure that everyone has this security first initiative utilizing all the great things that we've put out recently?
I think, this is kind of an interesting aspect because Microsoft is a customer of Microsoft. So I think if you think about SFI, that SFI does not apply only to the engineering team who doing the work to secure the product, but also Microsoft organizations who consume Microsoft product, and they also have a SFI initiative. So what we doing today, we building capabilities, we're building the best practices, we're building now a security hubs across various products where we can actually show to our customers. I know Jocelyn is happy about it because I'm talking about their feature. And this actually show you to like same things like risk score as we do for SFI. We show customer a risk score and we show you the gaps, and you are, as organization can adopt the best practices, same best practice we are as a Microsoft adopting internally. And that's what I think the right approach is, to showcase the customers the way, and then the customers will do it.
Love that. Thank you.
Yeah, I won't name the customer, but I had a conversation with someone who said something similar, that their SOC, Security Operations Center, was monitoring someone trying to infiltrate their network. And it took them, I think they said, about a week to really discover and lock in on what they were actually trying to do, mainly because they weren't getting access to whatever it is that they were trying to gain access to. So in order for them to build up their defenses, just like you said, it took them a while to just truly identify the means in which they were trying to infiltrate their system. So Jocelyn, anything to add or ask?
I want to look forward, right? Because that question was kind of like a recent rear view mirror framed question. And earlier, Ilya was telling us about how much the landscape has changed, especially with agentic scenarios. Ilya, I want you to look as far forward as you want to look. What is the next big scary thing for us?
My concern is right now if all these bad guys now start arming themselves with agents, it's gonna change landscape so much
Yeah.
because right now we are continue with like cybersecurity in a way it was done before, but we arming ourselves with agents to defend. And I think the next logical step, then the threat actors is gonna start arming themselves with agents. I think that's gonna change the future, how we're gonna fight. So instead of people, it's gonna be agents. So it's gonna be interesting. All I
I
can say, and equally terrifying.
I think that's such an interesting statement because right now, so many of the customers that we talk to are looking at agents as if they are the weak point, right? They are the methods that some bad guy could break in. They are what somebody could take advantage of. And now we're looking forward into a world in which, no, that's not the weak point. That is the weapon. So we got to be ready for that.
Agents, I agree, they are defensive mechanism if you build an agent for defense. And so that's why like we actually invest in this area as well. So detections, mitigations can be automated and the agencies can be as smart as human doing this. That's I think is gonna future of warfare is that agents gonna fight agents. Same way as we have now like unmanned like aircrafts, right? So that's what I think is gonna be interesting in the future in cybersecurity.
That's such an interesting topic to think about, like the future of attack vectors and like who's doing that. It makes me think of World War Z. I don't know if anybody read or listened to that book, but they talk about like this type of enemy is one that doesn't sleep. It doesn't care about food. There's no war of attrition with them. Like they
Yep.
just keep going and going and going. And it's the same thing with agents, which is interesting and also terrifying to say. But it makes me think like, Ilya, what can customers do now, or how can they look at their current security posture to mitigate or minimize potential risk going forward? Do you have any advice that you would like to pass along?
Or do you see a very common mistake?
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Do you see, like, we were talking to customers, like, you should be doing this and you're not.
Yeah, so I think again, like I think it's gonna be a constant kind of like the security over time is gonna change. Like the kind of the way how we do defenses will change. So that's what I think the customers need to continue investment in it. So if they feel happy right now about security, they should continue rethinking this current landscape and see what else need to be done in order to protect it. However, the best way to probably defend is to let somebody else do it for you. So that's why like I feel like I'm again trying to put my product hat on. But if customer choosing the Microsoft as a SaaS vendor, then we are the provider who's gonna defend in this kind of situation. So that's why like choosing the Microsoft is good option. On top of that, also like all this like security hub, best practices, something we publish in, always need to be revisited because we change in our guidelines because something which was acceptable maybe years ago may not be acceptable now. So that's why like continue revisiting the guidance is also applying the best practices is certainly going to help.
I've got a slightly different question for everyone right now. What advice would you give to someone wanting to get into the career of security?
Well, I think you have to accept the fact that you're going to be challenged every day and it's going to look like a chaos. But if you find a way uh, to get your extra dopamine by just looking into like defenses and to see how the winning looks like, I think it's going to be very interesting. Like it will challenge you. I guess like that's what kind of important stuff. People who want challenge, you guys more than welcome to join cybersecurity. You guys will learn. It's like a crash course. You join it and it's going to be a crash course. Like it's not that someone will give you an opportunity to slack and like build a feature on your own time pace and you get opportunity to learn something. No, you basically go to the trenches and you have to learn it during the incident, and it's gonna be a crash course.
Yeah, I asked the question because, is it something that, someone can just jump in, or is there just standard patterns and practices and things like that that anyone can adopt?
Everyone at some point joins cybersecurity because of, I don't know, they maybe like because interested in the space, you will have to learn no matter what. So that's why like if you worry about, hey, you need to have a certain background, it doesn't matter. All you have to do is just join and start doing stuff and you will learn it, things will change, but that's kind of the part of the process. And I found challenged and interesting stuff. Every day is different day. Like, I don't know how to explain it. I just wake up in the morning and see what's going to be day looks like. And turns out we may have another things to worry about. But I would say if you think also about career prospect, the cybersecurity is one of these areas going to stay, right? Because we have evolving career perspective and come to an agents, like people thinking about how the software development is going to look like 5-10 years from now. I would say security is going to stay. Like security is important because it's what builds trust between the company and the customers. Security will always be important. And this is a good career, like if you want to build it. So join security. And in many years, you will thank me for staying in security.
Ilya, when you met me, I was a wee 22-year-old in a not security aligned team who owned one too many escalations. I was definitely someone who fell into security. Were you the person that was like, I am striving for this challenge. I want to be our trust and fundamentals king?
So what's interesting is like, it's many like people get on security by accident. You just start doing that and turns out it's cool, right? So I think back in my career, I was like engineer and architect working on a technical solution. And some point there was an opportunity to also do more like security engagement. And I started doing it and everyone assumed I own the security. So I think that's kind of also a kind of an option because there is never enough you can invest in security. So I'm pretty sure there's always opportunity to invest more. So people who interested, just start doing it and see how far it can go.
Like, sounds like you're a victim of your own success in security, but that is awesome.
Yeah. So, and I know the other people who done it before is because like, you know what, you're good. And then you start now more like security. And then now you own security. So that's why like, if you're good and you're willing to challenge, just do it and see.
Very
like
called
that.
out.
So we often talk about the shared responsibility of
Yep.
security across an organization. Earlier, you mentioned, if an organization chooses Microsoft, that's going to give them a lot of the tooling that will help them in the future as technology changes. But can you talk about, you do choose a vendor like Microsoft in here. What are those roles in an organization that still need to be included when building out for their future for security considerations?
I think if you larger organization, you need something like CDOC. You essentially need to have a kind of cyber defense operation capacity in order to respond to certain threats. So that's why, like, you adopt the Microsoft products, we give you tools and capabilities, but you also need people. Like, no matter what, like, we'll do as much as possible, but you still need the people with your organization, and these people will help you. So that's why I think that's what another part. It's people plus tools. So we are the tools. Each organization should also have a security people.
As like, the guy, do you feel like there's something we're not asking you that we should know about?
Normally tell like some fun stories, but a lot of them are confidential, unfortunately.
Let's not do that, Ilya.
Yeah,
we
not-
like you. We
While
want
the
you to
light
keep
is red,
working here.
please.
Okay.
I'll
I'm
go
gonna
upstairs
tell
after this.
one fun part.
Yeah.
So we start also security initiative. So this email from Satya come in, and the leaders of security team, like CVP, EVP level, need to go to a building and they don't have badge. Like, I don't know, maybe forget, but they don't have a badge. And they standing next to the door and just waiting someone let them in. And the guys walk in and they say, "Can you let us in?" And that's like, "No, I don't know you." And just walk out. And then like CVP, EVP, like, should be upset about it? Should be happy about it? That's actually a good thing, right? So ultimately, the guy took exactly what we need to do: security first approach. I don't know them. Well, he should probably know them, but didn't let them in. Ultimately, he come back and like, can you show me like profile picture in the phone so I can match you? So if I know you in directly, I'll let you. So ultimately, these guys also get to the building. But that's what I think kind of the fun part. Like when you start thinking about like security future initiative, like it changes the people mind, and it's even like small little things like don't let people into the building. I found this very kind of an amusement, and at the same time feels like it's kind of right thing to do.
Yeah, my wife gets annoyed at me sometimes, Ilya, because so my phone, I have a privacy filter on my phone, so you can't see things from the side or anything like that. If I'm getting in the car, I'm always looking around in doing things and observing the building. I don't sit with my back to the door, people, at all. I mean, that's
Yeah.
that's for most guys, I think. And all these other little security conscious things just in my daily
Yep.
life. Right now,
After starting to work on security, I was on a plane of some airline company, and I had that like limited version of Wi-Fi where you could like WhatsApp or SMS, but you can't have full Wi-Fi. And the Wi-Fi at some point like rebooted itself entirely, and then when it came on, I had completely full-fledged Wi-Fi. And after embedding myself in the security world, all I realized was this plane has not enforced lack of endpoint filtering for their
Yep.
Wi-Fi. It does change
Yep.
you.
So like,
Yeah, it does.
that's a really good point that you mentioned regarding badge access into the building. Yes, that makes sense. Like, don't let anybody in. And I agree with that. But it also brings this trade up of convenience and security, right? Like,
Yeah.
when you're adopting new technology, often customers, users, people like that are looking for fewer roadblocks, more
the
convenience.
easy button.
The easy button.
Yeah.
Thank you. Right. Does security like remove the easy button? Like, how do you balance that out?
That's actually exactly what we do. I think I mentioned in the beginning, it's a trade-off and risk. So you have engineering in the team optimizing for success, and especially like the product management side, they really want an easy button because all like their focus is to grow like adoption and usage. And you have to have like a security or like an architects in the room, which basically represent the other side of the spectrum in order to find a compromise. So the answer to this question is what is goes to this compromise, right? Because I think it's easy to over optimize in one way and also easy to optimize to other way. You just basically turn off everything by default. What goes in the middle, it's actually the real crap. And I think this is where I think you have to have a teams which feel comfortable having security and engineering in the room, discussing this compromising, finding the right kind of balance for them.
So you mentioned earlier that the SFI report comes out quarterly. Are there any other ways that you recommend organizations, customers stay up to date with what's going on with SFI?
I don't think we're publicly talking about it beyond what's in the report. However, some organizations go more into details, and you can find some of the stuff inside of the kind of security blog of a Microsoft, as well as we have the Power Platform conference coming out. There will be my session talking about security. So what does it mean is there are no kind of a Microsoft view outside of the SFI report, but individual engineering teams feel comfortable transparently talk about, so you can find this information online.
Very cool. Ilya, this was fantastic. I'm really, really excited that you came onto the podcast to shed more light on SFI. It's not a topic, like you said, that we talk about at the Microsoft level so much. And so I'm super happy that we got more awareness on this at a non-quarterly time. But we love to revisit this conversation with you later because the world is changing quickly. And I know that people need to be informed about SFI, and we would love to have you back.
Makes sense.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ilya. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Bye.